fucking thing sucks!
Well, hey everyone. Welcome to Men vs. Movies. I'm Griffin, as always, and today I have the delightful privilege to be bringing you all my thoughts on the latest film from Mr. Michael Bay and the fifth installment. Really, do we have to... Transformers: The Last Night. So, Transformers: The Last Night is directed by the mastermind himself behind my current pain, Mr. Michael Bay. And it's starring Mark Wahlberg, Anthony Hopkins, some little girl, a bunch of other people, and some explosions and robots and Optimus Prime and shit. Essentially, there's a giant magical staff. It's Merlin's staff. You know about it because it's in the trailers. They deal with Knights of the Round Table and shit. There's a giant MacGuffin staff. The Autobots and Mark Wahlberg want to get it so they can prevent the end of times and the Decepticons from getting it, and the Decepticons want to get it so that they can bring Cybertron to Earth, and Earth can become Cybertron, like in the third movie. Doesn't this sound familiar? Yeah, you know what? That's all you need to know. It's Transformers. Do you even really care about the story? Let's be real here. Let me preface this entire review by saying this. I was excited for this film. I had hopes. I had a strong feeling that this was actually going to be a good movie. I liked the trailers. I thought that they increasingly got better. And because of how ridiculous and off the walls this movie sounded, I was like, wow, it really looks like they're going for something different here. This is going to be great. Maybe this could have a good chance of being good. Fell into that trap. And I'll be the first one to tell you that this movie's a steaming pile of shit. Yeah, it's been a while since I walked out of a movie pretty pissed off, and I think the last time that happened was when I saw Pan. Let me just give you my quick 2 cents on why this film is arguably the worst in the franchise. Michael Bay has done the impossible. I didn't think it was actually possible. He crafted a ginormous turd here that just so happened to be worse than not only the previous film, which also sucked a bag of dicks, but in my opinion, was worse than Revenge of the Fallen. Now you're asking me why? Why is this movie? How could it possibly be worse than Revenge of the Fallen? It's because they took all the things that were really, really shitty about the previous 4 films, shoved it into this movie, and then made an even less coherent story than they have been able to before. I mean, I'm absolutely dumbfounded that Michael Bay found a way to outdo his terribleness from the 4th film and the 2nd film. I'm not even joking here, guys. I'm speechless. All right, well, obviously I hate the film, and I'll get into more reasons why, because there's a laundry list, probably the length of the Empire State Building, of everything wrong with this movie, but there is some redeeming qualities to this film. First of all, yeah, Michael Bay knows how to shoot actions. The visuals are all gonna look good, and this film is no exception. I mean, the last battle in this movie I actually found to be quite enjoyable. It was a little reminiscent of the end battle in the 3rd film, but this one, they added some different elements in there, and it was enjoyable to watch, I guess, like most climaxes of these Transformers movies are. I also really liked this battle sequence that happened in the beginning during the Dark Ages that involved King Arthur and a bunch of knights and stuff like that. It was different than anything we had seen before, and I thought Michael Bay did a good job of directing that. Mark Wahlberg is fine, he's Mark Wahlberg, and because he's in the movie and we like Mark Wahlberg, we like his character, it's not like he has any depth to him or anything. Bumblebee is just as enjoyable as always, except he doesn't really play a major part in the film. He is an enjoyable character when he's on screen. He does have a few badass action scenes, I do have to admit. I mean, Anthony Hopkins looked like he was having a good time. So there's that. So I'm probably not going to touch on nearly everything that I hated about this movie. First and foremost, let's talk about the humor, because it sucks. It was like he was trying to outdo how bad the humor was in his previous films. The movie starts and we have this great action set piece in the Dark Ages, and I'm really, really digging it. And I'm like, wow, they're on to something different here. Could this be the first great Transformers film? Then surely enough, they cut to Merlin riding in on a horse who suddenly halts, takes a swig of alcohol and continues to down the rest of said alcohol and makes some really stupid, quippy, unintelligent one-liners. And at that moment, I turn to Nick and I'm like, so this is what we're in for. Yep. It's going to be a long 2 hours and 30 minutes. And then the rest of the movie proceeded to play out exactly like I thought it was going to. Look, I'll be honest, sometimes Michael Bay's humor can work. You can look at the first Transformers, it was funnier in that one. But in this one, it was some of the most awkward and cringe-worthy humor I have ever seen in a movie. It made me just feel uncomfortable, and I didn't like it. They were trying so hard to make it funny, and they failed miserably. Let's talk about the story, or the lack thereof one. Up to this point, 2 out of the 4 films made little to no sense and their stories were unnecessarily convoluted. 1 and 3, the stories were convoluted, but I was still able to follow them. With this one, I had absolutely no idea what was going on half the time. It was just like jumping around. It was like a kid on crack, just throwing shit at the wall and hoping something would stick. It didn't make any sense. And it's not because it's some complex or well thought out story. It's all because they're just jumping around from storyline to storyline and cutting ties with stuff that is gonna jump in at the end of the movie, and it just doesn't make any sense. They don't even take the time to develop a story. It's just a bunch of cutting. Look, the story is simple, and by the end, I got it. I got the gist of what was going on, but it was just so unnecessarily hard to follow. This is Transformers, not Inception. And on top of all of that, in regards to the story, there is nothing new here. It's not original. It's the same shit we've gotten for the past 4 movies, arguably worse in my opinion, simply because it seemed like they took the worst elements of the previous 4 films and shoved them into one shit pile. Let's talk about the characters, because I didn't give a shit about any of them. You know that little girl that they keep advertising in the trailers? Like, oh, I'm gonna have my moment. I'm gonna kick some Decepticon ass. Yeah. Well, they start a story arc out with her character, and then about like 30 minutes through the movie, they drop her. And we don't see anything from her again until the very end, maybe 20 to 15 minutes of the movie. That is it. You could have plucked her out of the film and the movie would have been the exact same. She played absolutely no part in the story. It was such a waste of what potentially could have been a great character, honestly. Let's talk about Anthony Hopkins. Anthony Hopkins is a class actor. He is great. Even if he's in a shit movie, he manages to pull out some sort of decent and good performance. While he's not giving a bad performance in this movie, I didn't like his character. He was really weird, annoying. A lot of the humor that they tried to incorporate with him didn't work at all. The Transformers really don't do a whole lot in this movie. They're at the beginning for a little bit for a few action scenes. They're at the end for the giant battle. And Optimus Prime, the center character of this entire franchise, who is advertised on all the posters, he's put in the trailers. We thought we're gonna get this giant epic film where Prime is actually the villain, and that's not what we get at all. The trailers are incredibly misleading when it comes to this. He's in the movie for all of 10 minutes. I think the truly sad part about this movie is that there were actually parts where the technical aspects of this film even faltered a little bit. Towards the beginning, there was a lot of haphazard editing. They tried to do a Suicide Squad ripoff where Megatron is building a team of Decepticons, and so we're gonna show a quick shot of them, throw up their name in fancy text, do a freeze frame, and it just felt so awkward, really out of place, and it just feels awful. The editing in this film, I think, is actually some of the worst in the Transformers films. I did not enjoy it. And it also was really hard to follow the action at times because of this ridiculous editing. When we get to the point where even the technical aspects of a Transformers movie are starting to falter, you know that they are just not giving a single shit about this film or this franchise. They just want your money. Transformers: The Last Knight is more of the same. So if you're one of the people who enjoys Transformers, you like the 4th one, you like the 2nd one, and you have a fun time with them, knock yourself out. You'll probably enjoy this movie. I myself happen to like the 1st and 3rd movie quite a bit. This movie has no redeeming qualities about it, and unfortunately, it feels like Michael Bay and the studios don't care. That's the biggest problem with this film, is it felt like no one cared when they were making this movie. They just wanted to get the consumers money because they knew that they were going to make a lot of money off of this property. It's a cash cow. The fourth one, which was arguably one of the worst ones or the worst one in the franchise, grossed $1 billion at the box office. I want you as the consumer, as the movie-going audience, to demand better from the studios, from Michael Bay. Don't spend your money on this movie. Don't support it. It's absolute garbage. The worst film of 2017, the worst film in the Transformers franchise. And this film, oh my God, this film gets knocked out in the first round. It's awful. It gets a KO. Oh. All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening to my rant on Transformers The Last Night. I really had a physical reaction to this movie, if you can imagine it. What do you guys think about the film? Have you seen it? Did you enjoy it? Am I just full of hot air? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like this rant, you be sure to like it, share it with all your Transformers hating fans, demand better from the studios. And then also be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more movie reviews, movie-related content. We got talk shows. We got good shit in there. You just gotta look for it. Yeah! And then also be sure to like Men vs. Movies on Facebook and follow us on Twitter simply by searching Men v Movies. And lastly, guys, if you like me specifically and you like what I have to say, you can always give me a follow on Twitter at Griff Schiller. All right, thanks for watching me vent about this film. I really appreciate it. We'll catch you next time. Take care.